Welcome into the Sports Buffoons podcast. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there in the YouTube land, the Twitter sphere, the Spotify land? It's the boys back in town. We got JG back on set with us and Tanner Dawson. What's going on, guys?
Going on, everybody?
What up, bro? It's good to be back with y'all.
Yeah, Jason, it's good to have you back, by the way.
Definitely glad to have you back.
We missed you last week, obviously. Had a good discussion about the Chiefs' offensive line. So those of you out there who've not, click subscribe and like and checked out our previous video, go ahead and do that. Tanner and I had a little debate about the right side of the Chiefs' O-line.
Yes.
I think you agreed more with Peter King. Peter King has something come out, right?
Yeah, I thought he had like Remmers out there on the right-hand side. I prefer to have, like I said, Kyle Long. I think he'd just be a better fit.
Yeah, I could see that, especially him being still trying to gain some weight and stuff like that. So,
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, we have a lot to go on about today, you guys. We're going to talk some NBA, of course, with the playoffs here. We're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs for a few minutes. We're going to talk about Julio Jones. If you see us here on YouTube, we got the Julio sign out here out front. So, Jason, what are you sipping on over there? You got a drink on your table.
I have a few drinks.
Yeah, you got a few.
Yeah, so I've got this Boulevard Fling craft cocktail, and it is a Mai Tai. And then I've got the Old Forester whiskey with Coke. No, sorry, Pepsi. I want to clarify.
That's
It's
right.
definitely
That's
Pepsi.
Right. Yeah, definitely Pepsi. We don't buy Coke around here apparently anymore.
can't
So,
do that.
Taryn, what are you doing? What are you sipping on?
I was actually going to show up with a Coke today just for fun, but I decided to get some water, and I got the 312 lemon shandy I had last week. You still had some in your fridge, so I'm in there mooching off of you.
Tanner, is that like 1.75% alcohol?
This?
I want to be clear on this. How much
4.2.
alcohol is in there?
4.2.
Oh wow! So you're
4.2.
moving up in life all of a sudden. What happened?
I had Forrester last time you were here.
You did?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. He did have Forester.
All right.
But we got the 100 proof now, which is what you're drinking. So you upgraded as well, the Forester. So.
Yeah, I got to try this 100 proof. I've never had this before.
Oh, it's the best stuff in the world, man. What about you, Mike? What do you got up there? It looks like a fancy can, too.
I got a little mixture here. I do have myself a little Old Forester, but I got some Schilling hard cider from Heirloom Apple or Cider Apples, Excelsior Imperial Apple, 8.5%. So I might as well crack one open for the length of the show. So, the good old stuff. I haven't had a cider in a while. This is like the best cider I've had in a long time. Pretty impressive for sure. So like I said, you guys, we'll be getting to some Chiefs and Julio Jones and a little bit of Aaron Rodgers we'll touch on here. But I want to open up with something that I thought was pretty normal, I guess, at this point. I mean, we saw a little bit of a LaFlop this past week with LeBron James going out there do a little floppy flop after a Chris Paul foul, a quote-unquote foul. And I think, the Lakers-Suns matchup's pretty interesting, actually. I believe in the Suns. I do think the Suns are a good team. I think the Lakers, talent-wise, might be a little better as far as that goes. But I'm not going to count the Suns out. I think that's the one team you guys have actually counted out a couple times. Tanner, I think you've been a believer, but...
Yeah, I'm not a partial believer. I didn't expect them to play the Lakers first round.
Remember, they were the best team last year in the bubble thing, right?
Correct, yeah. They went undefeated in the bubble,
Mm-hmm.
but they couldn't make the playoffs because they sucked before the bubble.
Right, and then this season rolled around, and I think they've had their ups and downs, but overall, I think they're a pretty decent team overall.
Just to be a 2 seed from where they were last year, that's impressive alone.
I believe in them. Now, obviously, the series is currently, if you're watching here, I know we have a game on Thursday, but the series is tied 1-1 right now, and they're going back to LA to play a couple games at the moment. So, Jason, what's your thoughts on, like I said, LaFlop in the situation of the Suns and Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, LaFlop, the thing with him is like, when you turn 35 years old, you got to do what you got to do. So you got to play by the rules of the game. And, he is getting up there in years, but I do think that him and AD had a great game this last time out. I don't think this is going to be like a short series. I think a lot of people are sitting there thinking, it's over. It's 1-1. The Lakers are going to just win this thing in 5 games. I don't see that because traditionally, when you're in the early rounds of the playoffs, LeBron James has a lot of 6 and 7 game series in the early rounds of his playoff career. And so I'm looking at the box score from the last game. AD, LeBron had great games. But the game was played in Phoenix, and so I was kind of surprised that Schroeder had a great game, and I was surprised that Drummond had a great game. I think Drummond was 7 of 11 field goal, and Schroeder was 8 of 16 for 24 points.
Yep.
But the biggest problem I have right now when I look at this Lakers squad is that their bench didn't really do shit in that last game. And so, it's like it's a 1-1 series. Anything can happen. But you look at a guy like Schroeder, we all know he's not going to put up 24 points in the next game, and Andre Drummond's not going to put up 15 points in the next game. And so there's a lot of variables in this series. I do still think that this is going to be a 7-game series. I do have the Lakers moving on, but I mean, it's not going to be as easy as people think it is. And, CP3, he's going to score more points eventually in this series. And so, CP3, he only had 6 points in that last game. But when they move to these road games, that's when the guys that are on the bench, they don't play as well when they're on the road. And so I think CP3 is going to step up when they start playing in LA because he's going to have to. I mean, CP3 is going to have to carry more of the load. DeAndre Ayton is not going to play as well when they get into these road games. So it's going to be the Devin Booker and CP3 show when we move to the Lakers.
It's going to be interesting because CP3 is already kind of banged up through already first couple of games, right? He went out for a bit with a shoulder injury. People actually feared that it could have been another bad injury for him and kept him out of the series. But he came back and played. He got hurt again second game, but it wasn't as big a deal. So as long as CP3 can figure out and stay on the court, I think the Suns will keep it competitive. But something I want you to look at as well. You were talking about the bench. You were talking about the difference between the two games. Well, first off, AD only had 13 points in the first game, right? But they actually played. AD played about the same amount of minutes. LeBron played about the same, but the other guys were less. So you had more bench going on in the first game as well. And in the second game, you guys had Drummond with 24, Schroeder with 34 minutes, Caldwell Pope with 31 minutes, and he has 0 points, right? So obviously he's got to figure that out. LeBron's working with him on that. But AD played 40 minutes, LeBron played 39, right? AD came out second game and finally played his ball. He had 34 points on that. LeBron James had 23. So not only did AD have a better game, LeBron had actually looked about pretty much the same game. He missed a double-double still, but he had about the same amount of points, same amount of rebounds, and he had actually a little bit more assists compared to the first game. But that's the thing. You know what you're going to get out of LeBron James. You need LeBron. He's not at the health where he's older, right? He's not 100%, so he can't do this by himself. He needs guys like Schroeder, Drummond, and Davis. Those guys got to step up. Caruso has to step up. Caruso had a great game, actually, the first game for himself, and then he shit the bed again, going 4 points. And then the bench, they kept the bench guys on the bench, and that's the key, I think, for the Lakers. It's going to ruin them late in the playoffs because they're not going to win with the bench guys. You know that.
No, their bench sucks.
We saw that with LeBron AD out.
Yeah, before we move on, I do want to make the point that Tanner was the first one to cuss this week on the show, so I want to give you mad props for that, Tanner, because that's never
right, Tanner.
happened before.
I think that Tanner gave us a lecture, and we said we didn't give a fuck.
I didn't give a lecture.
He tried to.
No, I just.
Well, okay.
You guys took it totally wrong way.
But no, I think you and I are.
I was making fun of you guys.
You and I are on the same page when it comes to the Lakers bench, and I think when we're just looking at this series, it's no problem. I mean, the Lakers have the 2 best players on the court.
Correct.
That's the only thing that matters in this particular series, but moving forward, I have tremendous problems with this Lakers roster because, I mean, if that's all you have is LeBron and AD and you don't know who's going to show up to put in some work as far as the third wheel is concerned, you're going to have some issues moving forward.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot of issues because AD is not going to put up the amount of points every game. We know this. We've seen that before. He does not consistent in his scoring. Andre Drummond, is probably not going to be the guy scoring 15 more points. Schroeder, for God's sake, got 24 points, and we know that's not going to be the case going forward. He's not going to be consistent scoring. He has to score 20 plus in order to make up for that bench.
Yeah, and so my other point that I want to throw out there about Schroeder is that I'm sure you guys have already heard this, but Schroeder is playing for a max contract right now. And so his issue right now is like he wants as many points as possible. He wants to hog the ball as much as possible. That's a big problem moving forward in the playoffs because he needs to think about playing in a team format right now. And that's not what's on his mind. He's trying to earn that max contract, and that's going to be another problem that the Lakers are going to have to try to overcome as we move forward.
How is that guy even eligible for a max contract?
I mean, he's had a good career. I mean,
yeah, he's played with some decent teams, and he's performed pretty decent. I wouldn't say great by any means, but
so after what you guys are seeing so far, though, who do you have winning in this matchup as far as? Here the finish is going to finish up here in about a week.
Yeah, so. That's a good question. I mean, I've got the Lakers in 7. I think it's going to be a longer series than people think. And Tanner, I'm interested to see how many games you think this series is going to go.
I'd say it has to go 7. It just has to.
You think it's going to go 7?
It has to go 7 in order for the Lakers to win. It has to go 7.
Yeah.
If Booker can finally turn on that heel mentality, the guy, I'm going to destroy you because I can, and we know he has the ability, but he's not going to. That's the issue. You're not going to see Booker score 40, 50 points like he should on this team. If he does that, Lakers don't stand a chance.
Yeah, and so, I don't care how many games this goes. The Phoenix Suns are completely done here, and it goes back to what we said about CP3 having his injury problems. I mean, if this guy was going to win a conference championship, it would have happened with the Rockets when they were very close to beating the Warriors.
With Harden. And
just a couple of years back. And for me, I mean, at CP3's age, if it didn't happen then, it sure as fuck isn't going to happen now. And so
not if you're getting hurt in the playoffs.
No.
You got to be on the court. You are an essential to the Phoenix Suns team.
Yeah.
And if you're not on the court just to help Booker out, to help DeAndre Ayton out, to facilitate, be the veteran guy that you are on that court, you're not. It doesn't matter what happens to LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
Because nobody else is going to do that on that team.
So just to be clear out there, if you guys are betting on this series, we're going Lakers all the way. It doesn't matter how many games it takes.
I'm surprised though with what you guys are saying. Just because keep in mind that the Phoenix did have the second best record in the league.
Correct.
So
I think CP was healthy too.
Right, he was healthy throughout the whole thing. I don't think the Phoenix is done necessarily. I think they definitely have a shot still. So you guys are basically saying it's over.
That's why we put it at 7 though. 7 games because they do have.
I do think it goes to 7 games on this for sure. But I still think that Phoenix is not done by any means. I think they still have a shot to come back.
Yeah, it's kind of like
1-1 right now. The series
it's kind of like those of you who have been watching the NBA for a few years. We've kind of seen this movie before when Steve Nash won the MVP 2 years in a row, and they were the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And they didn't do shit in the playoffs. So it's kind of like now they're the number 2 seed. It's kind of like, yeah, we've seen this movie before, and now we've got CP3 sitting in there, and he's old as shit. And I don't even know if he's going to play this whole series. I mean, if he keeps getting banged up like that.
Yeah.
And then you got DeAndre Ayton. I mean, this is only his 2nd or 3rd year in the league. I mean,
he's going against the likes of Andre Drummond, AD, and give me the other tall guy who's on the bench. Marc Gasol. You're going to go against all those 3 vets at one time being such a young guy.
Yeah, and I'm glad you threw Gasol into the mix because that's kind of the dynamic that we're looking at
Correct.
here. We have a team that is old as dirt versus a team that is young as dirt, and
not very experienced in the playoffs.
It's kind of hard. I understand that we don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm going to take LeBron James. He's going to take this series to the bank, in my opinion.
I just hope that LaFlop doesn't have any more fake injuries.
So
that's my main thing
quick,
about
I got to defend LeBron real quick.
Fake.
You know that MJ would take advantage of all these flopping rules in order to win. right?
I don't know about
You
that.
know that.
I don't know if that's the case necessarily. I think LeBron is a great actor for sure. Has some of his,
He knows how to get the calls.
SJW things.
He knows how to get the
done.
calls.
He's getting great at acting
MJ
on
would
those
be doing
too.
the same
His
thing.
virtue
And
signals
you
are
guys
just as
know
good as
this.
his acting skills on the court.
That's all I'm going to put out there.
You know, like Tanner said, tall guy, put ball in hoop. So that is the game of the week still.
I don't know about that. I don't think that I would ever see MJ start flopping. That was not his
In order
mentality.
to get the W, he would.
No, I don't think he would. That was never his mentality to flop.
Quick fact real quick, guys. I did ask. So I actually brought my Alexa back up at home, just so I can kind of keep track in the morning, you know, ask what sports went on the previous night, you know, when I went to fall asleep. I did ask Alexa, who's better, Kobe Bryant or LeBron James? What do you think Alexa said?
Well, I think
Kobe
Alexa
Bryant
is
is better.
probably biased, and I would say that Alexa said LeBron James.
LeBron James is
Of course
better.
she did.
Now I asked her, who's better, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? What's your guess?
I'm going to go Alexa said LeBron James.
I'm gonna go Michael Jordan.
Alexa said Michael Jordan.
Wow, I'm shocked.
Yeah. Well, it's also a computer, so they go by statistics.
Right.
Between all three. Yeah.
I'm not convinced about that.
Hey,
but that's a
hey,
good
right.
sign.
Alexa says Michael Jordan is the best.
It's a good sign in the world if Alexa says that Jordan is the GOAT.
You guys are being goofy
That's a
already.
good sign.
I need to talk about something very serious right now. And like I said, of our sign out front, we have a big old Julio out there. And so if you're following along on the YouTube land out there, you can see this live. Or not live, I guess. We'll not be live for a while. But Julio Jones obviously had a quick conversation with Shannon Sharp. And it's been known he's probably wanted to leave Atlanta for a while. I think Julio Jones is without a doubt a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He is, top 10 all time probably. You want to really get down to the nitty gritty of the whole thing, of his statistics and what he's done throughout his career consistently. The level he plays at's amazing. I'm a huge Julio Jones fan. Always have been. I think he's a spectacular player. This past season, I think, he did have an injury, of course. I think that he could have come back actually from his injury throughout the year, but there was no point in pushing it when you had a crappy Atlanta Falcons team who wasn't going to go to the playoffs anyway. And so I think, Julio Jones finished off the year with 51 catches, 771 yards, and just 3 touchdowns. But Julio Jones wants out. He wants to go somewhere that's going to be a winner, somewhere that's going to be a contender. Shannon Sharp told him, do not go to Dallas if you want to be a winner. And so I thought that was pretty funny. But
that's blatantly obvious.
I think that, it would be smart of Atlanta, a team that's at the moment not going anywhere. Let's face it. When you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in your division, and you got the New Orleans Saints, who I think are still a good team right now.
Mm-hmm.
In general, you're not going to be winning a whole lot of anything in the next coming years.
There's not a lot of promise right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Atlanta, just do a rebuild. Matt Ryan's not going to be happy.
Well, you got a new coach, right? New GM.
Yeah.
Like, you are pretty much pushing the reset button.
It's time to reset, and it's time to get what you can for Julio Jones. And if I'm Atlanta, unfortunately, I got to let him go. He wants to be out anyway. He wants to go somewhere else and try to win games. And there's a list that Sports Illustrated put out actually recently of their top teams, destinations for Julio Jones. And I'm going to be curious what you guys have to think about some of these on the list here. Number 1, they have the New England Patriots as Julio Jones' number 1 destination, teaming up with Cam Newton and also that tight end duo, which would be pretty sexy with Jonnu Smith on there as well. So Hunter Henry, of course, Jonnu Smith together. So and Nelson Aguilar is also on that team still. So number 2, though, which would be the most scary to me and would make them a more legitimate team, is the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos, number 2 on the list. Pairing him with Jerry Jeudy would be amazing, and it would also help guys like Teddy and Drew Lock.
Julio?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Teddy can make some damage happen.
Maybe.
I think it would give Drew Lock a chance to actually prove what he's capable of. You got Cortland Sutton, obviously, Jerry Jeudy, and they got a great Noah Fant tight end.
Tim,
right?
The wide receiver.
Yeah.
Right? He actually had a pretty good year last year.
Yeah, he did.
So
he did do well.
You got that as well too, I guess.
Yeah, that would be a good core of receivers. Like that would without a doubt be good. I don't know if that's where he wants to go. I think he would like to go to the Baltimore Ravens if he had the choice, or Titans. AJ Brown's over there.
Oh, he's recruiting hard, man.
For Julio to come along. He actually sent him a DM in his Instagram recently. So
AJ sitting here. I mean, he's pushing too. He made even graphics with Julio in him already.
Now that would be pretty nasty to have Derrick Henry, one of the best running backs in the league, and then you go ahead and pair A.J. Brown with Julio Jones.
That's
I
insane.
mean, that would make them without a doubt the AFC Championship contender. With the Chiefs, obviously, right away, without a doubt. So, what are you guys' thoughts on Julio Jones and his potential landing spots? Are the Chiefs a spot for Julio Jones to land at all? Is there any chance at all that Brett Veach gets out there, makes a move to get Julio, and how does he do it? Like, do we have the cap room to make it happen?
Yeah, no fucking way he's going to the Chiefs. And part of that is just the fact that the Chiefs don't really need him. And, Julio's a great player, and I would love to see him on the Chiefs. I mean, that would make us basically unstoppable. But I'm looking at the odds here, and the only game that the Chiefs aren't favored to win for the entire season is week 2 at the Ravens, which is a pick'em game. And not a single road team is favored to beat the Chiefs and for the whole season. And so I'm looking at those odds, and I'm kind of thinking, we don't really need Julio Jones with those odds kind of in our favor.
The Chiefs are favored in every game this year, as a matter of fact, so far.
The last I checked, the Ravens game is a pick'em.
Really?
But, they should have a 3-point spread there since they are hosting the game.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the Chiefs are favored in every game. I would love to see it as a Chiefs fan, but like I said, they don't need him. My favorite landing spot though, for sure, has got to be New England, just because they have the tight ends that you mentioned. They have Nelson Assholer. You mispronounced his name, Mike.
That was my bad.
They also have Kendrick Bourne. They have the cap space to sign Julio, and I think it's a good fit. And the reason why I like New England the best is because I do think that Julio Jones at his age, he's going to get injured again, which will in turn help the Chiefs in the playoffs. I think my second best choice would be the Baltimore Ravens. And, the Ravens, they already see more unique defensive looks than any other team. And if they were to add Julio Jones, I think that would open up that offense a little bit more. So, yeah, I mean, I think
he would hate that. I mean, I just think being on that kind of team, I think Julio would get frustrated.
I just don't with
that passing game.
A lot of our receivers already struggle, and they say they're.
He's not going to put up numbers in Baltimore. I'll put it that way.
He wouldn't put up numbers, but at the same time, I mean, when you're looking at this from the Ravens' perspective, they've got to get better. They've got to figure out a way to compete with the Chiefs.
Sammy Watkins is going to get injured again, so we already know
exactly.
How that goes.
So at least if you've got Sammy Watkins and Julio Jones, if you get lucky, maybe only one of those motherfuckers gets injured, and then you still have a good receiver on your team.
Sure.
I'd be scared of going to the Chargers. Put Julio with Keenan Allen and Herbert together. I mean, that would be pretty crazy. And I don't know. That would be fun. Really, anything in the AFC West, I don't want to deal. I don't want to see him go to the Raiders. I want to see him go to the Chargers or the Broncos, obviously. But the Chargers would be scary with a pair of Keenan Allen and Julio Jones together.
That would be kind of crazy.
As a team on the list still.
Yeah, I guess my main thing with Julio is that he's been in the league for a while now. I just want him to see. I want to see him go out with a bang. I want to see him have a great year. Like everybody always bitches about him not scoring any touchdowns when we're in fantasy and all that bullshit. But I just want to see him have a good year, one good solid year to go out on for his career.
And no, the Chiefs, like you said, the Chiefs do not need Julio Jones by any means right now. Right?
They don't need him, but I mean, I would love to have him on the team. That would be you're automatically in the Super Bowl.
Are people gonna hate it? No, they're not, because obviously a couple of things have gotten done. Tyrann Mathieu got extended. Some other cat move happened, right? So Veach would have to kind of work around some of that and get some other actions done before that happened. But you guys got to think about it too with the Chiefs. Also, another reason we don't need it is we got Mecole Hardman, who will probably be our number 2 this year. We got Cornell Powell, Byron Pringle uprising as well. Fortunate, Mahomes is going to be protected enough to make these guys look really great. That's what I'm excited about. And of course, you got Tyreek Hill at number 1.
This should be the year of Pringle having a breakout season, I think. But I do get scared of the idea of a offense without Tyreek Hill, because if you take it away, you're just working with guys like Mecole Hardman, who's not proven himself.
Travis Kelce.
I'm just talking about receivers here, Tanner.
Okay,
but then you're looking at literally Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, and Byron Pringle being your receivers. If something catastrophic happened to Tyreek Hill this year, And I don't want to deal with that. That doesn't sound appealing to me whatsoever.
No.
If you added Julio to the mix, that gives you a little more security, as if there is an injury that could happen. Julio, if he plays a full season, is going to put up 90 catches and 1,300 yards.
And the way the Chiefs air out the ball with Patrick Mahomes, I'm pretty sure Julio would get plenty of catches.
Oh, he'd get tons. I mean, you get the best quarterback in the league with a top 8 receiver.
Yeah,
without a doubt. I mean, Julio puts up numbers.
What are you gonna do? Who are you gonna double team? Tyreek Hill? All right, you leave 2 other guys.
It would honestly be the best offense of all time.
Right. So let's dig into this a little bit deeper here. So what would you guys be willing to give up? Because I've heard that it's going to be a 2nd-round pick and a couple other players. So would you be willing to give up that 2022 2nd-round pick?
Screw it.
And
without a doubt. You know how late that 2nd-round pick is going to be anyway? That's going to be around 60.
Throw in the 23 first pick and something else. I don't even care.
I would give up, honestly, to have Julio. I would give up Larry Duvernay Tardif. Actually, I think he might have no trade clause in his contract.
Yeah, I think he does.
I would give up a offensive lineman.
Okay, maybe a backup
at this point. Well, right, because there's guys battling.
A potential starter.
There's guys battling right now, obviously for positions. But I would look at the offensive line and see that there's right now a plethora of offensive linemen on the on the team.
I get you.
You guys
time.
You guys love that. You guys love that shit. And I think I would definitely give up that, and I would give up even the 1st-round pick for Julio Jones. And he's only going to be 32 years old in the season, which for a receiver of his athletic ability, I don't care. I mean, the guy is a consistent year-to-year producer, and he's had to deal with Matt Ryan his whole career. And so put him with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Jesus, his numbers would be ridiculous. So
I mean, they already are ridiculous.
But the passing game would be unstoppable. You have the best tight end in the league. You have the fastest receiver in the league. Then you have a Hall of Fame, top 10 receiver of all time. Yeah, that makes you the best offense maybe ever.
Yeah, just say RIP to all AFC teams. Let's just shoot for the Super Bowl.
It'd be nuts. And I saw another, this is off topic, but I saw someone put out a list that maybe Todd Gurley could go to the Chiefs, I think, at some point. So
all right, that'd be kind of crazy deal too. So I have a stretch of where Julio might land. Right, this isn't even on the list. None of the lists that you guys even saw.
Is this a dark horse?
This is a dark horse. Okay. And I got a team that's made a lot of moves recently within the last 2 years. Arizona Cardinals, guys. Arizona Cardinals.
That'd be pretty sick.
DeAndre Hopkins has already reached out to him as well.
He did.
So Cardinals, right? Recently, they just signed J.J. Watt. They got Malcolm Butler on the defense this last spring. They signed Matt Prater to special teams to improve that part. And then you have DeAndre Hopkins, and you want Julio to compare with DeAndre Hopkins with a Kyler Murray who's in his third?
It'll be his 3rd year coming.
Third year, and who's always increased. So
if you paired Hopkins with Julio, those are 2 of the top in the league.
And AZ made moves on the offensive side because they got Rodney Hudson for Vegas pretty much for free.
That's a team on the rise.
And AJ Green.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about AJ Green.
Yeah, I did too, actually.
Did you realize AJ Green and Julio came out in the same class, obviously? So, that'd be nuts to see them all paired together.
How crazy would that wide receiving? I could see Arizona doing this because they still have to get past the likes of Seattle, and they had to get past the likes of the Rams.
It's like an all-pro team right there. If AJ Green was ever in his prime, at that point, or
I think we always say that division is the best in football, and this is what they need to do to get into the playoffs to win that division.
I think it's the most diverse in all of football for sure, because every year you got a different team prevailing.
And who's what 49ers Arizona will be this year if they can.
They'll improve. 49ers will improve off those injuries they had last year and all that.
I could see that happening.
Well, that's very intriguing, Tanner. But my question to you would be, if they do get Julio Jones on the Arizona Cardinals, would that be enough to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Because if not, then
potentially, yes.
What's the point in doing it?
I think so. I think it's possible.
I think so. I think they could compete with the Buccaneers in the NFC Championship.
Wow, that's a very sexy pick. I'm glad you brought that up.
That'd be cool.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Some guys are making big baller moves there in Arizona.
But here's the deal, you guys. We have someone that's a little unhappy in Green Bay right now. Now, do you think adding Julio Jones to the Green Bay Packers would be something that would make this said person a little happier to where he'd want to stay in Green Bay?
I don't think so. Because it's not about the players he plays with. It's not about the coaching staff.
So Green Bay is on the list, actually, of teams that could potentially trade for Julio Jones. But they got bigger problems right now. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers, obviously, is not too happy with the organization. He made some weird comments that I thought were pretty interesting. He kind of beat around the bush a little bit with some of the things he was saying. He was just talking about how Green Bay's always been team based around the people, and kept saying that over and over again. And all he was referring to at the end of the day was the current state of management within the organization. Correct. He's unhappy with that. He's unhappy. But here's the thing: I still don't get it. You and I talked about this the other week, Tanner. Is that Aaron Rodgers? You were just in the NFC Championship game, and you barely lost. Probably a little fluky, of course, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's like, okay, if you had gone to the Super Bowl and then beat the Chiefs, would you still be whining like this? I don't know.
See, here's the thing though, with his comments and everything going on, he said it himself. He loves the coaching staff. He loves Jordan Love. He loves the players, but it's something to do within that front office organization. When I think they've always had an issue with that, because I'm pretty sure Brett Favre had an issue with that as well during his time.
Sure.
And I think Aaron Rodgers is just tired of it. I don't think it's necessarily a weapons deal, as many people speculated. Yeah. I think it's a morale. I think it's Aaron Rodgers is like, you guys aren't good people, and I don't really want to
him maybe at this point.
Like, you're not. Either they're not communicating, they're not, something on the relationship level has gotten out of hand, and I think that's the issue. I don't think necessarily it's getting big weapons like a Julio or anything like that. I think it's the way maybe they handled it in the front office.
He just won the MVP.
Yeah, like the guy's not descending. It's not like Ben Roethlisberger or anything. Like, you got the guy that went back-to-back title games, won the MVP, the guy performs every year.
Can this not be repairable is the thing? Like, if you give him a Julio Jones, well, you quit bitching, basically, is my point.
What is the front office doing? How are you guys not treating Aaron Rodgers like a king in the front office?
Well, they should be, of course. I mean, obviously, Kansas City treats Patrick Mahomes like a king, don't they?
Like, you get rid of Aaron Rodgers, you're not a contender. You're not a contender at Green Bay.
I think it is a repairable situation, but if I could give a bit of advice to Aaron Rodgers, when you're a guy that just won the MVP of the league, you have nothing to prove to anybody. And so if you've got issues with the philosophy or the front office, I mean, he's kind of trying to say it like it's not an issue with them. He says it's an issue about the philosophy, but when you're the MVP of the league, you can kind of do whatever you want. Am I right? I mean,
yeah, you should.
So
you have full access, man.
if I could give him a bit of advice here, get the hell out of there. And if I was in his shoes, and this probably won't happen, I would wait. I would deliberately lie to the GM and say, yes, I'm going to stay if you get Julio Jones. They trade for Julio Jones and then get the fuck out of there, just to butt fuck them in the ass, because that's how shitty of a roster they've had over the past few years. And so I've said this from the beginning of the year. I hope that he comes to the AFC West. And at this point, I don't care if it's the Broncos or the Raiders. I want the best for his career. And I hope he's listening to me right now, because he's not going to do shit with that organization. That's just my feeling. You guys can disagree with me if you want. He's not going to do shit over there. And when you're the MVP of the league, you call the shots. It's not the general manager.
Well, why do you think he's not going to do shit if he had a successful season, obviously, got to the NFC Championship game, lost to the greatest quarterback of all time, and that ended up preventing him from going to the Super Bowl? I mean, he could have then, at that point, got with the Favre legacy at that point of going to 2 Super Bowls at least in Green Bay, and he just didn't get it done. Tom Brady came back in that game. I think you and I probably watched that game together, even at the end of the game, standing outside of Twin Peaks.
I mean,
I remember the whole thing.
I'm just looking at it from his perspective. If the Bucs have reloaded, you're not going to win the NFC. I mean, you're better off going to the AFC. I mean, even if you don't beat Mahomes, at least you screwed the Packers over and, didn't give them a chance to win anything, because, gosh, when was his last Super Bowl? 2010? What has that organization done in the last 10 years? They haven't done shit. So if I'm the MVP of the league,
they don't do free agency.
They only draft.
That's my only point. If I'm the MVP of the league, they haven't done shit for me in 10 years. I'm getting the fuck out of there.
I'm still confused why he's upset, though, because obviously he has Devontae Adams, who had an amazing season.
I'm telling you, it's not the weapons.
Well, that's the other thing.
So what's
he wants to take Devontae Adams with him.
Yeah,
sure, he would love that.
The problem is the people. It's the people in the front office.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. But when it comes down to Sunday and you're playing the football game, why does that matter?
So I think he'll play, right? I think he'll play for Green Bay, but the front office relationship is broken, and something needs to happen with the front office. That's the reason why he's upset, is because he has guys in that front office that aren't caring either about the players, the coaches, or the team as they should. Right?
They
So
got
I
got
think there's more going
Like, we're
on.
not talking about the Bengals, you guys. That's a trash
No.
organization. The Packers at least are successful consistently. Yes, it's mostly due to Aaron Rodgers being on the team.
It is,
But
Aaron Rodgers on
same
the
same
team.
time, like this team is successful consistently
Look,
every single year.
When you go to work, if your boss is bad, right? Let's say you have a horrible boss. Do you really want to perform for that boss?
No, but is my business successful?
Is your business? Yeah, let's say your business is successful.
But I
your
can't
boss
stand
is
this boss.
horrible. Everything about him is horrible, right? Like all his demeanor, everything's horrible in the office.
it
But
definitely-
your business is successful. Are
Right.
you really want to be motivated, or like, hey, this is a really great concept, but this guy's got
It can affect morale, and maybe at the end of the day, here's the thing: he's a sensitive guy, and maybe he's not feeling heard. Maybe he wants to have more input in the organization of their decisions.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to listen because he's a quarterback and they're the owners.
Obviously, something's wrong in the front office because you don't have
There might be. They
future
might be
Hall of Fame.
buttholes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
And
they could be.
they very well might be. I still think that though, at the end of the day, it's like Rodgers. I mean, you don't own the team. You're not the GM of the team. Let
But he
those
loves
guys
the team.
let those
That's
guys
the
run
issue.
it the way they want to run it. You keep trying to go to the Super Bowl, which you almost did.
So you get players that are dedicated, right? So like Mahomes with the Chiefs. You had LeBron with many of his teams. MJ with the Bulls, right? MJ said, "Screw it. You want to screw me over? Screw it. I'll retire." Right?
Oh yeah.
Why is A-Rod? Players can care about their teams, especially successful players such as MJ, and they can, they don't get the change they want or change that the potential franchise needs. And
I think Rodgers wants to go to
Why
Denver.
can't people care?
Well, here's the thing, Mike. I'm not going to argue with you that the Packers are a good organization. But my issue is like when you're in Aaron Rodgers' shoes, who are you going to be compared to? You are going to be compared to Tom Brady in your era and Peyton Manning. Well, what the fuck did Peyton Manning do? He was washed up like a motherfucker.
Won a Super Bowl.
He went to the Broncos and won a Super Bowl because the team actually gave a shit.
Came back from a broken neck.
And built a championship team around him. So if you're in Aaron Rodgers' shoes, you got to be sitting there thinking to yourself, well, why the fuck wouldn't I do that? And you can go to the Broncos. You can go to the Raiders. You can go to a lot of other places. Why would you sit there in the Packers organizations where we all agree that that's a good organization, but that's where I always come back to the point where if you're going to be an all-time great, you have to be great and not good. So you've got shitty organizations in the NFL, and you have good organizations, and then you have great. So Aaron Rodgers is trying to take that next step from a good organization to a great organization. Because if he doesn't do that, if he doesn't take that last step, I mean, we're going to be looking at Aaron Rodgers like 10, 15 years from now and saying, well, fuck, he's only got one Super Bowl ring and Peyton Manning had two. I mean, he was not that great. He's not as great as we thought that he was.
People don't dig into the details. They just look at the top line.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see how this all unfolds, and I think that Rodgers obviously does want out. I think he even made a tweet on draft day about wanting to, think about the mile high air, something of the weather being beautiful in Denver, or something along those lines. Was a tweet from his official Twitter account.
I still feel like he was having fun that day.
He probably was, but I think he also wants to actually leave Green Bay.
Well, yeah, with the front office, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's not very happy about everything, but it's hard for you as an organization to want to give up, and the amount he's going to have to ask for in return. Like, if you're Green Bay, like, you're going to be getting, at least 2 first-round picks, maybe more, as well as something else in addition. Denver obviously has a guy like Teddy or Drew Lock on the team right now, who would have to come probably in a package to be brought over as a backup potentially with Green Bay.
Give them both. They can have Drew Lock and Teddy.
I agree. That'd be scary, but it would also make the division more fun. It would make the Broncos, for the first time in 6 years, actually relevant.
Yes, and I still maintain that if they can make that deal happen, if I can see Aaron Rodgers on the Broncos and Deshaun Watson on the Raiders, it'll be the best day of my life.
We're going back to this.
Best day of my life because you know what? Patrick Mahomes will be the greatest player in the league, but he will be also the most battle-tested player in the league, and that's what we want when we go into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that'd be very exciting. Every single matchup within this division would be nuts because you got Herbert, obviously, and then imagine adding another quarterback like a Watson or like
Herbert's a fucking
Rodgers.
superstar.
I mean,
He's already a superstar.
That'd be nuts. This is a good division already in general, but if you added something like that, then it'd be off the top
Pretty
for sure.
insane.
So with that said, you guys, we're gonna transition real quick over to a little Royals discussion before we kick back over to some NBA talk. But last time you and I talked here, or we all talked actually a couple weeks ago, told you guys I was done with the Royals. I said that they're done. I still
They're trash. They're done.
I stick by that. That 11-game losing streak tells me everything I need to know about this team. And even though
it happened in May, man.
I don't care when it happens. Good teams don't lose 11 games in a row.
They do it all the time.
Yes, the Royals are currently sitting at 500. They're playing a game right now as we speak, so we'll see if they end up pulling this one out against the Rays. But I will say, that game the other day with Carlos Santana hitting a walk-off home run in the 9th inning was pretty cool. That definitely, made me, stand up and cheer again for the first time in a while about something like that. That was a great ending. I think that obviously the offense is still having some issues with guys like Hunter Dozier and Jorge Soler. Those guys,
Dozier's still out.
Can we? Okay. Dozier's been out for a while.
Yeah,
honestly.
he's still
down
hurt
at AAA
since that collision.
Yeah. He was in AAA. I think he had a couple.
He's got to
hits at some
recover.
point.
Yeah, he should be back.
So
here.
he'll be back eventually, but
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to come back and make an impact or not like he could. But obviously, Jorge Soler has been an issue when it comes to his one job, and that's hitting home runs. We don't have Soler on the team to like be a great defender or like hit gap to gap. Like you're on the team to hit bombs, and you're batting 176 right now. That's not good. Like you got 4
Sounds like
bombs
a home
on the
run
year.
hitter.
That's not good. Like that's not going to win us games. And luckily, we've got other guys making up for it in certain aspects. Like Benintendi's came around finally and been playing better. Perez has 9 home runs on the year, and Santana has 10. So
Salvador Perez is hot fire. He has 6 hits and 7 within the last 7 days. So
yeah, I've loved
and
watching
leading
him.
the team.
Absolutely. I don't know if this is still going to be a team that's going to do much. Obviously, Danny Duffy is out for a while. Kyle Zimmer, don't know this, Tanner, but he's got 3 wins and a 2.65 ERA on the season. So
and he came back last week on our show, and I called that out, saying he is going to help boost that bullpen.
So there is some good things, and obviously everyone likes Brady Singer. The young up and coming
Love
star.
Brady Senior.
He's a guy I think as time goes on could be something to be reckoned with. But in general, how you guys feeling? What's the state of the Royals in your guys' mind?
I mean, I'm coming around a little bit. You guys know me. I picked them to be under 500 when we had our predictions at the beginning of the year. So I changed my mind on that. I do think they'll be above 500.
See, you and I flipped.
We flipped, yep. And I look at the Royals. They're only 4 games out of first place. And I think it was a big game for them to put a stop to the Rays' 11-game winning streak.
Yeah,
and
that was huge.
More importantly is that Adalberto Mondesi is back. And so you're sitting there, you're only 4 games out of first, and Benintendi is starting to turn things around. I remember at the beginning of the year, Mike, or maybe when we first made that trade for Benintendi, we were live on the show, and we both looked down at his average last year, and we both shit our pants. We couldn't believe it.
We didn't have context of the.
You guys didn't do too much research at the time.
No, that was live during the show.
He just in your defense.
Yeah, but now all of a sudden he's got the best fucking average on the team at 283, and it's like, okay, he's a little bit better than we thought he was. Brad Keller, as I told you guys, would turn it around. He would get his ERA down. Now it's down to 5.7. Which was, I don't even want to say what his ERA was at the beginning of the year, but so Brad Keller turned it around, and I'm a believer here. When you're only 4, man. When you're only 4 fucking games out of first, anything can happen, and so
it's wide open.
I am definitely going with the over. Mike and I are switch positions from what we said at the beginning of the year, and I've got the Royals winning the division.
Yeah, baseball's.
I'm saying fuck it.
Baseball's a tricky
They're going to win the
sport,
division.
I do have something I want to say out of positive here for sure is that I think the Royals finally figured out, which we all knew this, their closer is Josh Staumont.
Correct.
I think, that was something they played around with Wade Davis, in the beginning of the year, played around with Greg Holland a little bit, whatever. Like, Josh Staumont should have always been the closer all along, and he's now got 5 saves on the season so far. So I think they're finally figuring out, okay, this guy's actually got some fire. And should be the closer throughout the rest of the year, in my opinion.
Correct. Yeah, I'm all for Staumont staying in that closing spot too. Use him when you're up. So last 7 days, guys, right? We talked about the previous 7 days, and we was not very good. We were 4-1 in the last 7 days. That's a winning record again, right? We were winning record last time, winning record again. We had wins. We had series wins against Milwaukee, Detroit, and now we're playing the Rays, and we're already 1 up on the series there. So if we can beat Tampa this series, I love our future in the next week or so, right? Keller, you mentioned he's 4-4. 4-4, man, and he's improved the last couple weeks. So he is progressing. He's figuring stuff out. We could be seeing a 5-4 Keller by the time we talk next week.
Yeah, when you're sitting there as Brad Keller, you got a 4-4 record, and at the beginning of the year, your ERA was basically 150 or whatever the fuck it was. I mean, you gotta be building some confidence at this point in your season.
And I think you did it. So we finally beat the bad teams. Detroit was a bad team that swept us during the 11-game losing streak, and that team should not be sweeping us at all, right? It was an unfortunate time, but we got our wins. The goal isn't to win every game. The goal is to win the series. You win series, stats add up. We get into first place, right? So the offense is figuring stuff out. I feel like pitching staff is starting to figure stuff out. We got Alberto Mondesi back. He's actually a week early than I predicted last week, and I'm okay with that. He went 2 for 4 yesterday, and of course he's a much needed bat in that lineup, with especially Nicky Lopez hopefully sitting out from now on, because we don't need Nicky in there anymore. And I mean, just the guy on the bases. When the guy gets on the base, he's a threat. He's a threat to steal.
Another thing is you got basically the best player in the league who's not playing right now, Mike Trout. So that kind of evens it out for the rest of especially the American League. You know, Mike Trout.
That's fair.
He's not even fucking playing right now.
No, he's hurt.
It's like that gives everybody a little bit better chance to do better.
Right.
Well, I do have good news. At least the current score of us, if you're following along, it's 1-1, bottom of the ninth. It looks like. So the score is tied. We'll see if they end up going
Bottom
to
of the
extras.
ninth?
Nice. 1-1?
Correct.
Wow.
1-1, bottom of the ninth. So it's a tie.
So
game
we
at
were
the moment,
losing, so now I need to do my voodoo magic and tell you how shitty the Royals are.
Correct.
In
Yes.
this
Correct.
show. Yeah, they suck.
Jake Brentz is pitching right now with
Oh.
no outs, and so we'll see how
That could
that
be
turns
scary.
out as we follow along here.
So real quick, I just want to talk about what's to upcome this next week before we talk again, guys, right? So we got 2 more with Tampa, including tonight's. We move on to the Twins, which is going to be a huge series beginning next week. We have to win that series. And that'll even put us – we might be tied for first place when we talk next. And then we end in Pittsburgh same day that we talk next Wednesday. So hopefully we can capitalize, win the series against the Rays here, and take the Twins. I'd even take a sweep on the Twins. That'd be great. That'd be fabulous. And then let's hopefully we can take down Pittsburgh, who is not a good team.
No, Pittsburgh fucking sucks, but more importantly is the fact that, you know, it was kind of a cliche. All these guys, they always say, oh, we're going to take it one game at a time.
Nah,
That's not a cliche, guys. That's what these professional players think.
exactly.
That is their mindset.
It's a
And if
reset
we can-
and go.
Yeah, and if the Royals can do that after going through that rough patch that they had, I think we could have a pretty bright spot coming up in the season.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
so we'll follow along with the Royals as time goes, obviously. I mean, I'm hoping I'm
Solid
wrong
trend.
about my switch up, and I hope Jason's right. So we'll see. I've lost a little bit of faith, and I hope that
Kind of like
they can switch it up.
has lost faith in Doge.
Yeah, and I told you guys.
No, okay.
Yeah,
No,
he
the
lost
different-
faith. He lost faith
No,
in.
it's not that.
No,
It's not that I lost faith in it.
The most
Doge-
important thing is that you lost faith in Hunter Dozier.
Well, I did lose
That's
faith
the
in
problem.
Hunter Dozier for sure because he just not been good.
Just
if
calm
you
down.
talk shit on him, he might start hitting better.
That's your job,
He
Jason.
needs to. I mean, with that 139 or whatever average in the MLB is not good.
Oh, that's not good.
But for whatever reason, you guys wanted to talk about Steph and Kevin Durant. So Steph Curry, we're switching back to basketball, by the way, for those of you in YouTube land following along. But I just wanted to touch on a couple of points here as far as these two in comparison of you guys wanted to kind of maybe have a debate over which one's better, which I'm going to let you two really take over on this one for sure. But I want to point something out to you guys. All-Star games, Curry's only has 7 compared to Durant's 11. And I think that at the end of the day, I think that's a big thing to look at, as well as the All-NBA team selections, where Curry has 6 compared to 9 for Kevin Durant. Now, I think from downtown, Steph Curry is probably better, but I think Kevin Durant, I mean, if you look at his stats all time, comparison side by side, I mean, more points per game, more rebounds per game. I think in general, I think he's a better player, but I'm going to let you guys do the debate on this because I'm not the NBA expert. You guys are.
Well, it's a great debate to have, and you're looking at these two guys. It's Steph versus KD, and where do they rank on the all-time list of great players? And they both have 3 championships because KD, we all know,
You're really
it's
putting
over.
a third already in?
It's over.
You're
can take
already
it to
putting the
bank.
third in? That's
And
ridiculous.
In fact, I don't care how much money you guys have. You got $1 grand, $2 grand, $1 million bucks. Put it on the Nets right now because it's over. But more importantly, my point is that they both, after this year, will have 3 championships. And you look at their numbers. KD has 1 league MVP. Steph has 2 league MVPs. Steph probably could have had a third one this year, except he lost that play-in game. KD, he's got 2 finals MVPs. Steph doesn't have a finals MVP, but he does have 2 scoring titles. Now, Kevin Durant's got 4 scoring titles. He also won the Rookie of the Year. And when I'm looking at these two guys, it's like these guys are even. Like, KD's a 7-footer, and Steph is like 6'3". So how are we going to compare these guys? I think that if you held a gun to my head, I'm going to tell you right now that KD is the better player. But if you're not holding a gun to my head, I will tell you that Steph is the better player all time. And more importantly, they are both. Okay? You guys ready for a hot take on the show? I know you've been waiting for it. Both of these guys are better all time than LeBron James.
There we go. I knew this was
better
coming.
than LeBron James. And you know why that is? Because when you look at their NBA Finals record, guess what, Tanner?
It's all about the record.
Guess who has a winning record
not the fact
in
that
the
you're
finals?
in the finals every freaking year. or
What's
anything.
the object of the game, Tanner? The object of the game is to win. So when you look at Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant's got a winning record in the finals, and so does Steph Curry. And so what does that mean? When you look at a guy like
they haven't played
LeBron
enough
James,
finals games.
LeBron James, what's he?
They haven't played enough
4-6?
finals games. Kevin Durant can't even get into the finals without Steph Curry.
LeBron James is 4-6
God.
in the finals.
How did I know this was going to turn into a LeBron hate?
Right?
I knew it.
It happens from time to time, but so that's my hot take of the day, guys. So Steph and KD. I know we're arguing back and forth about these two motherfuckers, but the most important thing is that they are both a better player than LeBron James.
That's not true.
So
right,
let's look at the numbers.
But I'm curious, it's about Tanner. What's your defense against this? If you don't like this,
come up with some defense.
I want to hear back and forth here.
I've got some more shit for you.
I didn't anticipate.
I've got some more shit. So give me your response.
Let's not let Jason pummel you.
Give me the response.
I thought this was Steph versus KD, not Steph and KD versus LeBron.
I tricked you. So now I want your response.
So now you want me to all right, back up stuff I don't have prep for LeBron here. LeBron's in every stupid finals. He leads teams that were shitty. AKA Cleveland that one year from after Miami. Kyrie Irving's team, by the way. I'm going to take that in the note. Right? So he takes teams, he makes them a contender, and then he gets to the finals. And yeah, he may not win all of them because there's other super teams out there. But you're not. It's hard to win all of them. It's hard to win all of them. Ask Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady. He didn't win all of them.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
hard.
Is that
it? Is that your whole argument?
What do you want? What do you want? Steph and KD.
You just said that LeBron played on shitty teams. Do you have any idea how many Hall of Famers that Lebron played on in his career compared to Michael Jordan?
He played with
I'm going to take this up one level. See,
I
started with Steph and KD. Then I took it up to LeBron, and now I'm taking it up to Jordan. So now you're trying to say how shitty of teams that LeBron played on. Do you have any idea how many Hall of Famers have played with LeBron James?
Tell me, Jason.
You don't want to know the answer.
Tell me, Jason.
You don't want to know the answer.
Tell me.
No, I mean, it's just, he played with Kyrie Irving, who is going to be in the Hall of Fame. And as much as by the way, do you know who just made the Hall of Fame? Chris Bosh.
Yeah.
How many people used to talk shit on Chris Bosh?
He was going to make the Hall of Fame either way. The guy was a force in Toronto.
Right, but everybody said he was trash. So LeBron played with all these fucking Hall of Famers. And, oh, by the way, he played in a shitty Eastern Conference. So, yeah,
What's
I
your
understand
point?
your argument. So your argument was that LeBron had shitty teams, which is
He
not
did.
true. But even if I agreed with you, he was in the Eastern Conference, which was all dog shit. The whole fucking conference was dog shit.
Look, KD and who needed who more? KD needed Steph more, or did Steph need KD more? That's what I want to know.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because now we're going to get back to the
I'm getting back to
original-
Steph and KD.
We got to go back to
I don't
step
want to go back
one.
to this LeBron crap.
Let's go back to step one. So we're going Steph versus KD. So my whole point of this whole fucking argument is that when Klay Thompson comes back, Klay Thompson is basically the second or third best shooter of all time. When they get him back on the Warriors, what I am looking forward to is next year when the Nets play the Warriors in the finals, and then you're going to see what happens.
Where's
when
LeBron?
You've got KD, Kyrie, and Harden versus Steph and Klay and Draymond. Now, I think the Nets will win if they're healthy.
Wait, that's
But
your
this
three?
this is something to look forward to.
No, that's
for
your
next
three
year.
for Golden State? It's Steph, Klay, and Draymond? That's your big three that's going to take
Oh, they
down?
got Wiseman. Dude, they got Wiseman and Wiggins. I
think
mean,
they
those
got-
players aren't dog shit.
Wiggins. Guys.
Wiseman's injured right now.
Yeah, I know.
Are you trying to tell me that if Wiseman wasn't healthy, if Wiseman was healthy right now, they would be in the fucking playoffs,
No,
and he
they
would have
would.
won
They
that
would've
fucking
beat Memphis.
playoff game.
They would have
Exactly.
beat Memphis.
Exactly. So I'm putting Wiseman as my third guy of the big three.
You don't think Golden State's going to go
And
out
I'm
and
going
get
to
a third
tell
guy?
you right the fuck now because LeBron is over the hill. AD was over the hill like 5 years ago when he started getting injured. I'm going to tell you right now.
LeBron's not going to the playoffs?
Next year's finals is going to be the Nets versus the Warriors. And do you want my prediction right now? The Nets are going to win, which is why I said that KD is a better player than Steph. But that's the only reason. I think they're pretty even right now.
Like, how can you... Steph was the one that carried that Golden State team, brought on KD, gave KD a two championships and MVPs, gave him the chance to even have that. Because obviously you couldn't do it in Oklahoma himself, right? Steph has done it in Golden State and is consistent in Golden State. The guy is Golden State at this point because we know Draymond plays defense, quote unquote, right? And Klay's hurt.
Yeah, my favorite thing about this whole argument. My
That's a key word.
favorite thing about this whole argument is that Steph has won a championship without KD.
Yes.
But KD has not won a championship without Steph. And
No.
so I do believe that's going to happen this year.
I know you do.
And so KD is actually chasing Steph. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah.
He's actually chasing
He is
Steph
chasing
right
Steph.
now. And oh, by the way, Steph Curry shoots 43% for a career from three.
He's
KD
insane.
shoots 38% from three.
Which is actually a lot higher than I
So
thought it would
Steph
be.
is actually a slightly better player, in my opinion. But
On the threes? Are you just going off the threes or what?
no,
Because if you
I'm
look
saying
at the
overall.
As overall.
I'm saying overall right now, and I think,
Okay.
but the thing of it is like technically, KD is chasing Steph right now. But I do believe that KD is going to win a ring this year, and so when he wins that ring, then I will give it to you. KD is a better player than Steph.
I just think if you look at full field goal percentage as well as blocks and rebounds, I mean, KD blows them away.
Well, you got
Dude,
7-footer
Steph Curry
against
is
6'3".
6'3".
What kind
Right.
of? What are you?
So what I'm saying is like, okay,
I'm
yeah,
glad
of course,
you brought that
of
up,
course,
Mike.
from
I'm
the
glad he brought
from the
that up.
perimeter,
Yeah, I love
from
this
the
shit.
perimeter,
From
from the perimeter, of course, Steph has been
Go back
has
to
been
football.
better.
So
But
which one of
here's the
you
deal, like-
which one of you motherfuckers thinks
Like,
that a 7-footer should block more shots than a 6'3" guy?
So what I'm saying is,
That's my question.
if you look
because
at like the full scale, like KD's better at the things that Steph's not as good at. Does that make any
Like
sense
what?
to you?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Like obviously, okay, so obviously they're different positions,
Who's
different
better at
players, they do
steals?
different things.
Who's better at steals?
Better at steals. Actually, they're very, very close. Right now, steals per game is a 1.7 for Steph, 1.1 for Kevin
Why
Durant.
is that, Jason?
I'm
Steph's 6'3",
I'm glad
or-
you think that a 7-foot player is better than a 6'3" player. That's all I can
All
say.
right.
Because
But if
you
you
know
look
why?
at like, all time,
Do you know why?
points per game, Kevin
Why
Durant
is that?
has him beat.
Do you know why I love that argument? Is because everybody wants to say how LeBron averaged more rebounds than Jordan, which is like 2, right? You really think
Yeah,
a
yeah.
6'9" guy should average more rebounds than a fucking 6'6" player? Really? Are you that fucking intelligent that you think that should happen? Oh, by the way, Jordan had more steals and fucking blocks.
Steph, you got to
per
increase your
game.
blocks. First off, I'm tired of this shit.
Do you know that Jordan averaged?
Who matters
Hey,
more to their team, you think? KD matter more to his team, or does Steph matter
Curry,
more to his team?
Steph Curry by far. Steph Curry by far.
I think that should be the real debate.
You take Steph out of Golden State, you're not even playing in the play-in tournament.
I just want to see what happens when Wiseman comes back healthy next year. And
I'm excited for that.
KD, Harden, and Kyrie. You know, Kyrie is always good for an injured knee, right? Every once in a while. He's going to blow out a knee or some bullshit like that.
Quote, unquote,
I want to
rest.
see what happens when the big three of the Nets go up against Wiseman and Steph and Clay.
I think Golden State actually adds in somebody. I don't know who yet, but I think they add in a third player to help with that. And Wiseman
How do you feel about Finals MVPs, considering KD has 2 of them, Steph has none?
Well, that's because Steph gave KD the Finals MVP.
It was given to him?
It was given to him.
What about Rookie of the Year? Was that given to KD too?
No, KD earned that because he was at Oklahoma.
Steph didn't win Rookie of the Year.
No, because
I actually do care about Finals MVPs
Lord
because
have mercy on me right now.
I do care about Finals MVPs because you know what? When LeBron James lost to the Warriors in 2016, guess who was the Finals MVP? Andre Iguodala. You know why? Because he shut LeBron down. You know why he shut him down? Because LeBron is overhyped. He's not as good as you think he is.
Okay.
All right, you guys done with it now?
Well,
you guys done talking about it?
I'm not done because I want to go back to my
We're not talking about the
argument.
Clippers.
Look. I want to go back to say who I think is better between Steph and KD. Right?
Okay.
I'm not going to look at titles because I don't think rings are what makes a player all the way. Right? I'm not a big because this guy is undefeated in titles makes him the best, whatever. So I think KD is a better player. He's more impactful because he's able to do more, right? He's able to do the blocks as a 7-footer and not like Steph. But he's also, when he's on the court, and we've seen it even when he was at Texas in college, the guy is a madman on the court.
I think that KD should be a better player than Steph, but guess what? He has something to prove because do you know how many rings that Steph has won without KD?
1.
How many rings has KD won without Steph?
He is -1.
Nothing.
Yeah, he's -1.
So
now you guys are going in circles because you just said that 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we said it 5 minutes ago because
it's a key stat here.
Yeah, and
Get your points
it's
out.
a key stat.
I'm
getting a goddamn drink.
I'm telling you guys right the fuck now. I want the Nets to win this year, and God forbid one of the big three gets injured. I do not want to see that happen because KD deserves that ring. He deserves that fucking ring, and I hope that he gets his 3rd championship of his career because I want to see these two guys. That's why we're having this argument. I want to see those two guys on an even playing field. They should
Everybody's healthy and go at it. It would be one hell of a series, I can tell you that.
All right, so Tanner, I think we've ran this into the ground a little bit. Would you like to move on to the Clippers?
Yeah.
Or is there another team in the NBA that you would like to blow smoke about?
Are the Clippers really a postseason disaster every freaking year? Are they a postseason disaster, Jason? Are they the team in LA that everybody's like, oh, they're way better than the Lakers and LeBron, and then they get into the playoffs, they shit the bed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at these 2 games that have been played, and the big problem is, as we all know, is that the Clippers have lost 2 games at home. And that's a big problem. And when I look at the box scores of these first 2 games, the biggest problem that I have is that the Clippers are not playing shit for defense. And
not at all.
For me, this might be, and I'm not going to throw the blame on Ty Lue right now.
I don't think it's Ty Lue at all.
I'm not going to blame him right now, but I'm asking a question. Could this be a coaching issue? Because we all know that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are known as elite wing defenders. And so if you've got 2 elite wing defenders on your team, I want to know what the fuck is going wrong because if you're going to throw the blame on somebody as to why they're not fucking playing defense, does it not go on the coach, Tanner?
I guess it would go on the coach, or Luka's just freaking that good right now. The way he's just hitting threes, like Kawhi's can't defend him. Paul George can't defend him. Who else are you gonna put on? Patrick Beverly? That's a joke right now. That does fall on the coach. That is a scheme issue. And actually, thinking about it, Jason, it may not be a coach issue. It may be a front office issue. If you think about it, they basically blamed Doc Rivers last year, right?
Sure.
For the Nuggets versus Nuggets. Well, guys, you're 0-2 in the first round this year with pretty much the same players, and you added in a few. And you have a new coach. So obviously, it may not even be the coach at all. It may be your front office that's trying to play the blame game on somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say that. I'm just looking at this. When I look at this Game 2 box score, it fucking blows my mind because
Tim Hardaway, dude.
Yeah,
Hardaway Jr.
mean, Luka Doncic. Yeah, I mean,
Luka Doncic was 39. Tim Hardaway with 28.
But seriously, is Luka Doncic that good? Should he be putting up 40 points in a fucking game against Kawhi Leonard, Paul George?
He's out there talking crap, dude. He's literally out there talking shit to Leonard, to George, to whoever covers him. And they're up by I think they were up by 15. And he just hits this one-legged fall away 3-point, and then you just talk shit and walk away.
Yeah.
Guy's ridiculous, right?
Yeah, and then you said it. I mean, fucking Porzingis put up 20 points, and Tim Hardaway Jr. put up 28 points.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, there is something wrong when we look at this shit. And when I look at the Clippers side, Kawhi Leonard, and this is my favorite thing to say about this whole argument. Kawhi Leonard is my boy. He's won a championship with two different organizations.
Yeah.
My Spurs and the Toronto Raptors. Guess what, guys? 14 to 21, 41 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. You're not going to blame this motherfucker. You can blame the rest of the motherfuckers on the team.
Who's the other guy on the team that is actually scoring points? Who's the other guy?
Paul George?
Yeah, and then who's after that? Nobody. Nobody.
Marcus Morris?
Yeah.
Is it Marcus or Markeith? I keep losing track
actually,
of
that's Markeith in there. But it doesn't make sense to me. You got two guys who are leading practically all statistics on one team, and you can't get help from anybody.
Yeah, and they're doing this at home.
At home.
This is the problem.
A full stadium, and you can't win at home. And you got two guys on your team who are supposed to do their job, and they are doing their job. But guess what? There's 7 other players that has to do something.
And so this goes to my point that we just made earlier on the show is when the home role players, if they can't do shit at home, what do you think they're going to do on the road?
Well, supposedly
they're going to crawl up in a ball and go hide in their fucking locker. They're not even going to play.
So the big talk I'm hearing right now, at least this morning when I was listening to some radio, is Luka and Mavericks are playing so great because they are on the road and there's no pressure. All right, well, that doesn't make any sense. So what is he going to do when he goes back to Dallas for the next 2 games? Shit the bed? I highly doubt that. I highly think that the Clippers are probably going to have even more pressure with crowd noise and everything else. So I don't understand that part at all.
I have a problem with this series, and there's something wrong with the Clippers dating back to the bubble. I mean,
front office, man.
Well, I think we all gave the Clippers the benefit of the doubt when they were in the bubble because all the teams were going through stuff and everything else, and we didn't hold the teams that were in a bubble to the high standard that we normally do. But there's something going on with the Clippers, and I don't know if it's a chemistry issue or what. But guess what? If Rondo can't get these guys going, we always talk about playoff Rondo on this fucking show. If Rondo can't get these guys going, guess what? Nobody's going to get these motherfuckers going, and they are cooked.
Yeah.
What about the Heat, you guys? And that's another one, by the way. The Heat in the kitchen, Tanner, something you wanted to talk about?
Can they stay in the kitchen and not go out?
What do you mean the kitchen? Is this a bad wife or what?
Yeah, so don't take the heat if you can't.
Oh, okay.
The kitchen.
You don't want to keep them in the kitchen? Yeah. Oh, okay.
So
what are they cooking? Are they cooking anything at all?
They're not cooking anything.
That's what I thought. I thought it's pretty bland these days.
The Bucks are bullying these guys. It's awful. This guy named Brian, or I think it's Brian Forbes. I think that's how you say his first name.
Bryn Forbes, formerly of the Spurs.
It is Bryn. All right. I wasn't for sure. I was formerly of the Spurs. This guy signed in the offseason. Who the hell is this guy? He sit here and scored 22 points.
He does know how to shoot, by the way.
Yeah, he's freaking
He
three-pointer.
played for the Spurs.
He had 6 threes, and he had 22 points. Like, what the world? What is the Heat doing right now? They don't have anybody. First game, they had Dragic leading the way with 25 points. Gordon Dragic, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, you went to overtime, sure. But that's because also the Milwaukee Bucks shot 16% from 3. And then the second game,
I think they've been a letdown all year, haven't they?
they've been inconsistent.
I mean, you're a big Jimmy Butler guy, right?
Yeah, Heat haven't been the same that they were.
All right.
But they also had injuries. They also had the COVID thing and stuff like that.
COVID.
Yeah, I will give you Goran Dragic. That guy's old as dirt. Like, he probably should retire pretty soon. But, I mean, this is the one series, guys, out of all of the series that I do believe could turn.
It could.
And
actually.
the reason why I think it'll turn is because the Heat, I mean, they've already been there and done that, right?
Yeah.
So they're the defending Eastern Conference champions. So this is kind of an old hat to them, even though they got destroyed 132-98 in that last fucking game.
Dead them in with your leading points? Like,
Yeah.
Get out of here.
So I always like to talk about the role players. And so the Bucks hosted the first 2 games.
Correct.
And they fucking destroyed the Heat. But I'm looking at the box score. Obviously, Giannis is going to do what he's going to do. Chris Middleton, he was 4 of 5 from field goal percentage, 17 points. But look at these other guys. I've got Bryn Forbes with 22 points. I've got Mr. Connaughton with 15 points. And Bobby Portis shooting 3 of 6 from field goal for 11 points. So I want to point out something here. These fucking role players are not going to do shit when they go to Miami. Okay?
So you're saying the 41% field goal percentage they had in the second game, 3-point is not going to be the
not going to fucking
not even
happen.
be close.
And honestly, like, I'm not even convinced that Chris Middleton is going to show up in these next 2 games in Miami. I'm convinced that Giannis, being who he is, he's going to have 2 fucking monster games. But what happens if nobody else shows up?
You have the Clippers.
Yes, exactly. And so that's why if I had to make a prediction right now, I think this is going to be 2-2. I think that Miami, their role players, if you look at the other side, I mean, Tyler Hero, I mean, he didn't do shit. I think he's going to show up. And,
Look, Jimmy still has to show up too. Like, it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, but Jimmy Buckets is a guy he's going to fucking show up.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a road game or a
it may
home
not
game.
be, like, sometimes it's not even may not be quite statistics, but the guy's out there. He's probably getting beat up, for God's sake.
But, dude, look at Tyler Hero. He shot 1 for 5 from the field with 4 fucking points. I mean, we used to think of Tyler Hero.
He was a hero last year.
The up and comer. He was going to be the third guy of the fucking big 3.
Yep.
But that's, at this point in his career, he's still a role player, even though he might take a step forward later in his career.
Correct.
He needs to play at home. And that's why I think you could see guys like a Tyler Hero, even like a guy like Goran Dragic. These guys could step up their games when they start playing the home games.
So I know you love these types of games and revenge games because you talk about it in the NFL all the time. This is a revenge game. I love this. This is a revenge game for the Bucks because the Heat knocked out the Bucks last year in the playoffs. So this could be a dominating force with the Bucks right now of saying we're not losing to you this year, and we're gonna not only beat you guys, but we're gonna crush you. It might be a 4-game sweep.
No.
You don't think it'll happen at all?
This is a 7-game series.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I would say at least maybe 5.
Look at that score, man. Do you really think Miami is going to fold after getting their ass kicked by
No, they're going to come back.
132-98?
That's why I'm saying 5. I think Miami comes back. I'm going to go Miami comes back next game, and then the Bucks take it to them.
Okay, so I'm using your theory here of revenge games.
Correct.
Do you not think that Miami is going to put the revenge on the Bucks?
Oh, you think
and just
you
fucking
think it'd be
destroy
like
them the next 2 games?
So you think the Heat's going to put more into the last 2 games rather than the Bucks put it into their demise last year?
I'm just saying, like, this looks like a deal where the home team could win every fucking game in this series.
That'd be great.
So it's not over, guys. Like, and I do believe I'm a big believer in Giannis. You all know that. Not so much of a big believer in the rest of that fucking roster.
So real quick, we talk next Wednesday. Who's going to be there?
To win the series?
Just in this series, yeah.
Oh, I'm going to go ahead and take Milwaukee.
Milwaukee? I'm going to go
But
Milwaukee.
I'm not going to be shocked if I'm wrong. No. This is the one series that I think is going to go the distance.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like it.
Well, I'm glad you guys got that out of your system for sure.
Hey, by the way, does Giannis block or does he steal? And how tall is he?
Yeah. Well, he's a 7-footer, so.
Oh, okay. So he must block.
Well, as you
he's
guys know,
probably better.
this is why.
Guess what? He's better than Drew Holiday, who was the point guard on that
This time,
fucking
see,
team.
here's the deal, you guys out there watching. If you're still watching here towards the end of the show, thank you very much. But here's the deal: is that we're called the Sports Buffoons, which means we all like sports. We like to get drunk and we like to be buffoons. But here's the other thing: like some of us are better than others at certain things. And I'm the biggest buffoon when it comes to the NBA or basketball in general. And so, for the most part, I'm sitting here like looking over stats, like, I don't know shit about these guys. Obviously, I know KD and Steph Curry, but like, the intricacies of the game, I'm not exactly the most familiar with. And I know KD's taller than Steph. I knew that, but still. I obviously it's one of those deals where you guys are gonna have more NBA knowledge about certain things than I will. But when we roll around to football season, obviously at that point, that's my niche. That's my thing that I do. I'm a football guy. And so at that point, then I'm no longer the buffoon. Then Tanner's the buffoon.
That's fine. I'll take the buffoon.
Right, but we need to be clear here because we always want Mike's opinion on who's going to be in the finals at this point in the season and who's going to win the finals.
I had the best bracket for the March Madness.
That's right.
By the way.
Did have the best bracket.
I had the best bracket.
I was just about to say that.
And I told
NBA
you guys
is a little bit different.
I told you guys a long time ago though the Nets were my team all along for the finals.
Oh yeah.
I told you guys that long. Now I don't remember who I picked on the other end, but I know the Nets were for sure my team to win. I told you guys that months ago.
And I picked that in preseason. I picked the Nets.
So I was with you in preseason. In preseason, I think we both picked the Nets to win in the finals. So that was my pick even back then. So I mean, I think that we're still looking in that direction.
I think our reasoning behind that, Mike, was, and I think you and I both can agree on this, is that LeBron James is a really good player. But at this stage in his career, at age 35, he's not a great player.
You called Tom Brady wash, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl.
That's a team sport, Tanner.
Oh my God.
That's a team sport. When you're in the NBA, you got to run the show.
All right, guys, we got to save some energy for next week. So
I don't want to save any energy.
Without a doubt, we have to save some energy for next week. Put out another great show. The Royals did end up losing here, obviously, in extras 2-1. So
one more game.
What it is.
That's all right.
Not surprised.
Right.
They're
stay positive. Stay positive.
Oh, they suck. They suck ass.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Well, those of you out there listening and following along, thank you so much for sticking around with us through our little bit longer episode than normal. So thank you guys very, very much out there. Give us a follow, hit the like button, and notification as well. We do put out a show every single Wednesday night / Thursday morning, so keep that in mind. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, as well as here on YouTube with you guys too. So with all that said, you guys, I'll see y'all on the next one.
All right, bro. Thank you guys for joining, and this is JG. I am out.
See you guys.